Good afternoon. Meeting after a very long time. So I'll be covering mechanics of materials, the remaining portion. As you all know, me, GN Mar takes and Professor Arjun takes for CD. So Arjun Naik sir has already completed a little bit portion, such as torsion. Sir has already completed. And I have just started torsion in my division, whereas columns also sir has started. So there is just 2-3 class gap between me and sir. So first what will we do is, first we'll try to cover the portion which both of us have not covered. So we'll start with unit 4. That is, in unit 4 we have bending, then we have generalized bending equation, bending of beams, generalized bending equation, and after bending equation we'll be checking for shear stresses as well as bending stresses and deflection of beams by double integration method. There are various methods like Macaulay method and variety of methods are there, but basically we'll be concentrating only on double integration method. So first we'll start with unit 4, then we'll be going to the unit 5, initial part, that is torsion part. It might be little bit repetitive to you, but still torsion and column. So elastic stability of columns, these two topics will be covered. As you all know that we'll be taking classes for 2 weeks. This week continuously 6 hours, that is every day 1 hour we'll be taking, and we'll try to complete this unit 4 with as well as derivation as well as numericals, and next week we'll be trying to complete the remaining 1 unit. Okay, so without like wasting so much of time, we'll directly go to the unit 4. You can note down title of unit 4 as okay. So you can write down unit 4 unit 4 bending of beams. There are 2-3 things which we'll be doing. First, we'll see what is pure bending. Then we'll derive bending equation. Then, okay, here we'll be covering assumptions also. Okay, as already I had told, every derivation in MOM, whatever we have done, we assume few things. There is a thing behind assumption also. In simple words, what you can understand is there are few things we need to simplify, and those simplification can be done by some assumptions. Okay, so here bending equation, in that we'll see assumptions also. Then we'll derive bending equation. From that we'll find bending stresses, that is expression for this. Usually we denote this by sigma b. Then numericals on, that is bending stresses. Then there is one equation which will be directly taking, we are not deriving. There are various cross sections like I section, T section, then we need to check their symmetry also, so normal rectangular section, circular cross section. So all these sections are there, but we will not be deriving any equation here. Directly we'll be writing shear stress equation, and we'll be finding shear stress induced in a cross section of a beam. Okay, so this usually what you can say as we divide this unit into 2 parts, this usually you can call as part 1. And finally numerical. Here also we'll be taking some numericals. Okay, so under part 1 basically we'll be covering theory of pure bending, bending equation, bending stress, numericals, shear stresses, numericals. So today, at least we'll try to see, if possible, up to bending stress equation. Okay, we'll see. If possible, we'll try to cover up to that. In part 2, okay, we have one concept known as deflection of beams. Deflection of beams. Okay, so here we'll be deriving deflection equation. Here we'll be deriving deflection equation. Then two cases we'll see with respect to cantilever beam. That is double integration method. Only by double integration method. First we'll derive generalized deflection equation. Then one example we'll take. What numericals you have is cantilever, as already you know, one end is fixed, one end is free. Cantilever subjected to point load only. So generalized deflection equation will be deriving where cantilever will be subjected to point load only. There is a Macula's method, double integration method, but we'll be doing only this method. So what you can say as this as part 2 of unit 4. So all together, that is part 1 plus part 2 will be constituting your unit 4. Okay. So generally there is like deflection concept. We know beam, like how do you define beam? Already I guess you have studied in first year basic elements of mechanical engineering. There are diploma students. Those students already might have studied, but again C division we have non-diploma students also. So here in this room, if you want to identify beams, then the one which is vertical are columns, the one which are horizontal, which are nothing but the beams. Beam usually it is a structural element, okay, or structural member you can call, which is generally used to take transverse load, that is normal to the axis. Already in shear force unit 3, shear force and bending moment diagram, we have studied various types of beams. There are cantilever beam, there are simply supported beam, there are continuous beam, there are fixed beam. So there are variety of beams, and also there are variety of loads like point load, UDL, UVL, all such things we have seen. And also we have seen how those beam bend. Usually it may be like due to only sagging, or it may be due to only hogging. So all such things we have already seen in unit 3, and already we have assumed some sign convention. Similarly, here bending of beams, what we have is already stresses. Okay, what is, how do you define stress? When we apply load, and still I want to repeat, though many times I have told, we are studying deformable bodies. Okay, we are not studying rigid bodies. We are mainly concentrating on deformable bodies. Okay, so when load is applied, body will try to deform, definitely. So for that deformation, naturally there will be some resistance which will be developed, and that resistance which is developed, which will try to oppose that deformation. And that resisting force, which is internal, the resisting force developed inside body per unit cross section area is nothing but the stress, and mathematically we express this stress as load divided by cross sectional area. Okay, already you are all familiar with this. I have just revised it because we had a huge gap. Okay, almost due to COVID lockdown, we had almost 2 months gap. We are meeting after almost 2 months. So just brushing up, but still I know you will quickly adapt to the things. Okay, so similarly, due to, now here load is bending. Okay, that is due to load the reaction is bending, beams are bending, and because of that what all things will happen to that beam, that will be studying. Okay, so usually beam is a structural member generally used to support transverse load. And here one more thing, what you can say is span of the beam or length of the beam is usually higher than that of the cross section. So we will be analyzing the cross section. Majorly we will be analyzing the cross section because there are chances, there is a possibility that it may fail at the cross section. There are various types of cross section. It might be I cross section, it might be I cross section, okay, just L cross section, square cross section, rectangle. There are various types of cross sections. Okay. Now moving to the actual content of this, your unit 4. Okay. So first we'll see what is pure bending. Just for our understanding, what I will do is, I will draw one beam. Okay. What type of this beam? This is simply supported beam. When this beam is subjected to certain movement, you can say M, magnitude of M. Here there are no other forces which are acting onto the beam. When only there is movement present onto that particular beam, or the load is only movement, such type of beam is called as, or such type of beam will be obviously subjected to the bending. And when load is only bending movement which we are applying onto particular section of a beam, then such type of beam is called as subjected to only bending, which we call theory of pure bending. Means what? There is no other type of load which is acting onto this particular beam. There is only one type of load, that is movement, and due to movement this beam will try to bend. Okay, there is no, previously what we have seen, there might be point load, there might be UDL, okay, or there might be UVL, that is uniformly varying load. But when we are studying theory of pure bending, such types, that is no other load which will be acting onto that particular section of a beam, only one type of load which will be acting, that load is called as, or that particular type of beam when only subjected to the bending moment, such type will be known as theory of pure bending. Okay, so this can be asked for short notes, maybe 1 or 2 marks, or maybe quiz question. You can expect such small question. Okay, now you can write down. Now what will we do is, we'll be doing the derivation part. Okay, so what you can do is, you can just write down bending equation. You can write down, which is important, you can mark this as important, that is bending equation. Okay, and this thing is IMP. Okay, not with respect to the exam perspective, but later during your engineering you will be studying in MD1, MD2, or your project you will be designing something where you need to analyze bending loads. At that time this bending equation will be applicable to or helpful to you. Okay, so pay attention, bending equation. So as I had told, first we'll see the various assumptions which will be made before deriving this equation. Assumptions. Okay, so first assumption, I'll just read. The beam is initially straight before loading. Okay, as simple as that. Initial condition of the beam is straight. So initially it is straight. Means what? There is no other load is acting. Beam is not subjected to any load unless we apply. That is first. Second assumption, the beam is bent into circular arc due to application of moment. Okay. So, due to moment which is we will be applying, this beam will bend into circular arc. Beam will be bent into, I hope this is visible. Okay, beam will be bent into circular arc. Third assumption, what it says is, plane cross section of the beam remain plane even after the application of the load. So this is very common assumption which we have done in torsion also. So plane cross section remains plane. Okay, means it is like planes doesn't get distorted. Okay, planes remain plane. Next assumption, what we have is the curvature of a beam is very small. So I can write, see I am writing here in keywords. So while remembering, this will help you. So beam has very small curvature. Next, this is most favorite assumption. Young's modulus of the beam of the beam material is same in both tension as well as compression. So what is Young's modulus? Already you have done or you have found that into MOM lab, but still, what is Young's modulus? By what symbol do we denote this Young's modulus? We denote this Young's modulus by capital E, that is elastic constant we call, which is ratio of stress divided by strain within elastic limit. Okay, so this is the ratio. I'm just revising it, that is within elastic limit. Okay, what is elastic limit or what is elasticity? It is a property of the material. Okay, by virtue of which when load is applied, body will deform. If it is removed, the body will regain its original shape and size. That is nothing but the elasticity. So Young's modulus, next assumption is Young's modulus is same in tension and compression. Because see here, why this is said to you is, suppose this just random beam I have taken, when I apply moment to this beam, there are two types of bendings which will be happening. One is sagging bending moment, or one is sagging bending type, and other will be hogging bending type. So when I am applying moment like this, so obviously this beam will bend like this. Okay, and there will be one axis. What do we call this axis? Neutral axis. Okay, here also it will be there. So initially neutral axis is straight, and after application of moment, neutral axis is curved, and this curvature is very small. That is what one of the assumptions we have made. Okay. So here what you can observe is, initially this beam, now these planes which are again straight, okay, those remain straight. But beam has bent into curvature, and this type of bending is usually we call sagging bending moment. So it has bent into sagging. Okay. See, these are all basics which are helpful throughout. So we'll be going little bit slow because it is like we'll give some time. Then once numericals, derivations, those things start, then easily we can pick up. Okay. So here this is sagging bending moment. Already we know that like these beams are made up of various small fibers, materials, all those things will be there. So here what you can see is, up to neutral axis, this beam or these fibers here, they are neutral, but once it bends, those fibers, okay, are getting compressed. So top fibers are getting compressed, whereas bottom fibers are getting tensed. So here there is a compression and here there is a tension which is happening into the beam. So obviously it has property, or it has material, and that material has property. That property, important property, is Young's modulus, which we'll be looking for, and that should remain same for tension as well as compression. Okay, that is what it means. Okay, then just wipe it. Okay, so 5 assumptions already we have seen. 6th assumption is the material of the beam is homogeneous, isotropic, and also it obeys Hooke's law. So these are 3 keywords: homogeneous, isotropic, and Hooke's law. It obeys Hooke's law. It obeys Hooke's law. Okay, what is homogeneous or homogeneity? Means what? The material, you can take it as various materials, grades are available. You are studying in material science also, but still, suppose if I take one particular material, that material does not change its property within that beam, means it remains same throughout. That is homogeneous. Isotropic, at various orientations also, that property remains same, it doesn't change, and it obeys Hooke's law. What is Hooke's law? Stress is proportional to the strain within elastic limit. That is what Hooke's has said, or that law has come. Because of that, we have got various properties. Okay, so this is what Hooke's law. So this is important assumption. Okay, and this is important as well as common assumption in MOM. Almost all derivation we have that assumption. Okay. So next assumption what we have is normal stresses in transverse plane are negligible and small. Okay. So transverse stresses we are not considering, negligible. Okay. So there are around 6-7 assumptions. So up to 4-5 on the safer side. You can remember when it is asked. Suppose if derivation is asked in an exam, maybe IA or maybe SEE, you need to write these assumptions, whether it is asked or not asked. Irrespective of that, you will be writing these assumptions. Okay. Next. So write down expression for bending stress and radius of curvature. Expression for bending stress and radius of curvature. Expression for bending stress and radius of curvature. Okay, so we'll be deriving this equation, and then later we'll be finding expression for like bending moment as well as radius of curvature, and all those 3 things will be combined and generalized bending equation will be obtained. So write down, consider a straight beam subjected to sagging bending moment M. Consider a straight beam, initially straight, subjected to sagging bending moment capital M. An element PQRS, an element PQRS will also bend into circular arc resulting in new shape P dash Q dash R dash S dash, P dash Q dash R dash S dash as shown below. Okay. So initially, first, as I said, I'll be drawing one beam. Draw this one beam. Again, there is neutral axis. Okay. And consider one element, that is PQRS. So first what you have is one beam that is normal, and there is neutral axis. Neutral axis is the axis which will not subject any type of stresses, okay, under application of load. Neutral axis won't be subjected to any type of the stress, or it will not experience any stress. That is what we call as an neutral axis. Okay. On this beam, I will take one small section, that is PQRS, and what I will do is sagging type of bending moment. That is what I have been told. We are applying. So initially, as we had said, the beam is straight, then it is subjected to bending moment. Due to bending moment, now you tell me what will happen to that beam. First, obviously it will bend. Okay. What type of bending? Sagging. That is what mentioned to you. Okay. And it will bend into curvature or arc. That is what we will now draw. Okay. So due to application of load, this is P, this is Q, this is R, this is S, and we have neutral axis. This is neutral axis. Okay, it says bend, and also I have these things. Now, sorry, this is not PQRS. Sorry. This will become P dash. This will become Q dash. Element will become R dash and S dash. So initially PQRS is a like rectangular or square section, small section. Now after bending, it has become like this. So first what I will do is, I'll just try to join these 2 points, extrapolating, okay, which are required. So this is some random point. Okay. I'll call this as O. Done. Here okay. Now this, whatever it is there, this will be your up to neutral axis will be your radius. Okay, one more thing we have forgotten. For this small section, we need to consider one small element or one small fiber of a beam. What we can call it as EF. Okay, just make these changes into your sketch. PQRS, that is section of a beam, right? It is subjected to bending moment. So only that, if I take P dash, Q dash, E, like, so this will also change. So this will become E dash and this will become F dash. So there is one small, okay, good. What we have is colored chalks. We'll use those. Small, it's required. Okay, so we have one fiber which is initially again straight because beam is straight. We have named this as EF. Then due to application of bending moment, this fiber has bent into again arc, that is E dash, F dash, and this distance, whatever it is there, this fiber distance from neutral axis, we denote it by Y. That is how far this fiber is there from neutral axis. That distance we have denoted is by Y. Okay. So here also same thing. This whatever distance is there, will be denoted as Y. Yes. Okay. I hope this sketch is clear. Continue. The sides P dash R dash and Q dash S dash make an included angle d theta at the center of curvature. So this angle, whatever it is there, that is d theta. This side, that is PR dash and QS dash, where they meet, there they make one intruded angle, that is d theta. Similarly, again it is explained, a fiber EF which is initially straight, again due to application of movement it will bend into arc. It will be like this. Okay. So one thing I need you people to observe here. Just tell me, initial length of this fiber, whether it is same as this? Obviously no, because there is a bending which has happened. Means what? There is some parameter which has changed. Means this fiber, it is a part of a bend, like beam, so it has undergone bending. So due to which it has elongated, or obviously you can see this is getting stretched. Okay, means some strain is there within that fiber. So I need to find that strain. Okay, so write down. Due to application of moment, due to application of moment, fiber is strained, or you can say fiber length has increased. Okay, anyways you can use either of two. You can say fiber length has increased or it has strained. Let Li be the initial length. Let Li be the initial length of a fiber and Lf be the final length of the fiber. Okay, so this length is Li and this length is Lf. Okay, initial length and final length. Now first thing, initial length Li is equal to initial length Li is equal to, how do you calculate? Just write here r into d theta. This is like here, this theta is there, this is radius. How do you calculate this? This is r into theta. Similarly, that has been taken. Okay. So initial length of a fiber is r into theta. That is radius into theta. Then what is final length? Final length of a fiber. So this length I need to take by same principle, but r has increased by some distance. What is that distance? That distance is nothing but the r plus y. That is y. Okay. So r plus y, angle remains same, that is into d theta. Okay. So initial length of the fiber is r into d theta. Final length of the fiber is r plus y into d theta. Okay. Next, strain in a fiber. Strain, epsilon. How do you calculate strain? That is change in length divided by original length. Okay. What is change? Change is final length minus initial length divided by original or initial length. So final length is, I will substitute r plus y into d theta minus r into d theta divided by r into d theta. So if you expand this, what you will get? R into d theta plus y into d theta minus r into d theta divided by r into d theta. So this is plus, this is minus. So d theta and d theta will go. So strain is equal to y by r. Right? This is what you will get. Strain is equal to y by r. I hope it is clear. Strain is change in length divided by original length. Or change, how do you calculate? Final minus initial. How much it has changed from the initial. So final minus initial, that is change, delta in general. Okay, this is nothing but the delta altogether. Delta divided by Li. That is, already we know how we have got this. If I just expand, positive, negative, those things get cancelled and we'll get y divided by r. Okay. Next, what we have is, it is not yet over. Okay. Derivation is very simple. What we have is, we know Hooke's law. What Hooke's law says? Write down. As per Hooke's law, as per or according to Hooke's law, stress is proportional to the strain, and here the beam is subjected to movement and due to which beam will bend, hence it will be bending stress. So you can either simply write sigma or sigma b to be specific, that is bending stress. Okay. So sigma b is equal to E into epsilon. But we have epsilon, already we have calculated. I can substitute here. So sigma b is equal to E into, what is epsilon? Y by r. Suppose if I send, okay, these some standard forms, if I do, you will get sigma by y, small y, is equal to E by r. So that is what we had given the title. Relationship between bending stress, that is bending stress, and radius of curvature. Here sigma b is bending stress, y is the distance of a fiber from neutral axis, E is Young's modulus, and r is nothing but the radius of curvature. Okay, you can take it down. So just write those things here. Sigma b is bending stress. So usually stress is Newton per mm square. Okay. Y, distance of a fiber from neutral axis. E is a property, that is Young's modulus. So this you can have in mm or meter. Usually will follow one same system. So here this is Young's modulus is again Newton per mm square. And what is remaining? R, that is radius of curvature. Okay, this is not yet over. This is one part. Radius of curvature. Okay, which is also again in mm we can take. So these are standard units which will be following. Okay, so this is initial, that is one part. Relationship between bending stress and radius of curvature. Now what we'll see is relationship between bending moment and radius of curvature. Okay. So sketch remains same, assumptions remain same. One more extra sketch will add, and that part is also very simple. So I'll not wipe this out. I'll just keep this part. So you can take down the next title, that is relationship between bending moment and radius of curvature. That is bending moment and r. That is second part. Same derivation, second part. From this, what we have got is sigma b, that is bending stress, divided by y is equal to E by R. That is what we have got. Okay. So we'll have one more other part, that is relationship between or expression for bending moment and radius of curvature. Okay, write down. Consider a section of a beam, subjected to bending moment M, that is capital M, comma, consisting of an elemental area small d capital A at a distance of y from neutral axis as shown. At a distance of small y from neutral axis as shown. Okay. So what we are doing is section of a beam. It could be any section. So I will assume it has some square section. Okay. And this you can assume as a neutral axis. Okay. And this distance is small y. This is a section, okay, which has area of dA. And this is subjected to bending moment, that is M. Some random. Okay. Some random. So this is the section of a beam consisting area dA at a distance of small y from neutral axis. This is neutral axis, subjected to bending moment capital M. That is what we have given in wording. Okay. Continue. Assuming the element is subjected to bending stress sigma B. What we'll assume is this is subjected to some bending stress. So we know stress, we know area. How do we calculate force? Right, that is stress multiplied by area will definitely get you the force. So write down. We know that normal force acting on the element due to bending stress, normal force acting on the element due to bending stress can be calculated as Fn is a normal force, sigma B is bending stress multiplied by area. So I'll write stress multiplied by area. So what type of stress we have? Bending stress. And what area we have? Sigma B into dA. That is what we have, right? Stress multiplied by area. That is sigma B multiplied by dA. Then next. So this normal force is acting onto this element. Okay. So what we can say is this force is like normal. So this is like, you can assume the force which is coming out from the board, and this is the distance which is normal distance. So you can see this force multiplied by this distance will definitely get me the couple or the movement which is acting onto this particular area. Okay, write down. The differential movement caused by the normal force about neutral axis can be given as, so write down, differential movement so usually we denote this by dm is equal to normal force multiplied by that distance, that is nothing but the Fn into y. So what is normal force? Already we know here. So dm is equal to sigma b multiplied by dA. Okay, and what is that small? Y. So sigma b into dA into y. Okay, now this sigma b already we know here. This we have already derived. What is sigma b by y is equal to E by R. So sigma b will become E by R multiplied by y. Same will substitute there. So we'll substitute here. That is sigma b is equal to E by R multiplied by y multiplied by dA multiplied by y as it is. So just we have substituted for sigma b. So what will we get? dm is equal to E by R y and y. This will become y square into dA. Okay. So write down. Integrating above equation with respect to the area of the element, we get, okay, so we'll integrating with respect to the area. So dm is equal to integration with respect to the area E by R y square into dA. So here obviously this E by R will remain constant because there is no relevance. So dm will become m and E by R will come out. Only will remain integration, that is y square into dA. That is elemental area multiplied by that small distance. Okay. So write down. Let integration of y square into dA, will take it as I, because it is moment of inertia. There is the area, there is a moment. Okay, so distance. So that particular thing, y square into dA, integration of that will take as a moment of inertia. So substitute here, what you will get? M is equal to E by R multiplied by I. So send this I this side. M by I is equal to E by R. This is second part. Relationship between the movement, which is bending moment, and radius of curvature. Okay. So now if you see, in part 1 also we had radius of curvature, here also we have radius of curvature. So in general, what I will do is bending equation. Okay. So what you can do, you can club these two. That is, first part what we have is, I guess, what is first part? Okay, bending stress. Sigma B by Y is equal to E by R. And what is second part? M by I is equal to E by R. So if I club this all together, what shall I get? Sigma B by Y is equal to M by I is equal to E by R. So this is what our generalized bending equation, or simply this is our bending equation. So sigma B is the bending stress, Y is the distance of a fiber from neutral axis, M is the moment, I is moment of inertia, E is a Young's modulus, R is radius of curvature. Only I will write about this. That is, M is moment which can be applied. So usually we take this into Newton mm or kilonewton meter or Newton meter, whatever things will be given to you. And what is I? I is moment of inertia. Moment of inertia. Okay. Usually, I guess this will be with respect to the millimeter raised to 4. So this is what your generalized bending equation, or simply it is called bending equation. Okay. So today we have seen what are beams, then we have seen what is pure bending, then we saw assumptions, and also we saw one derivation, that is bending equation. Okay. So that's it for today. Just revise these things. Tomorrow I will be covering numericals with respect to the bending. 1 or 2 numericals will take. Then we'll go with 2 classes. Or like Monday, Tuesday we'll be seeing bending stresses. Wednesday, Thursday will be enough because it is just continuation of bending stresses. Then lastly we'll see deflection equation. Have a good day.